Ladies and gentlemen, it's Tuesday, October 22nd, 2013, and this is the Daily. Number 649, where we learn to be a better gamer. Look at that. There it is. This is what we do. It's on the shirt. This is the second day in the row I'm wearing a day 9 shirt. And don't worry, because tomorrow for Wednesday, got the yellow one. Whapa! In today's Daily, we're going to take a look at the exceptional Terran vs. Zerg game between Polt and Byul. We're not going to analyze it from a specific side, although Polt wins. Spoilers. We're going to be looking at it as a general thing, Aruha, because the game is good. It is good. Oh, it's so fine. In particular, we're going to see how they get set up at the start, how they get to the mid-game, and begin seeing a little wibbly-wobbliness happening. How they start to peel away from the standard norm of things once wins aren't happening. How do you deal with the 22-minute mark when your opponent isn't dead and he's killed off one of your bases and you don't know what to take? And most importantly, this finger is going to be the really important one in this daily. Notice how I planned it with 4 things, so that way I can do this and it's still appropriate. The most important thing we're going to be looking at today is how expansion locations relate to our army movements and his army movements, and how we're going to switch our compositions around. That's actually really hard to do. I want you to do this with the ring finger, and I want you to do a Khmer motion. It hurts the body. Another exciting news, Day Derp is an emoticon that works. Lowercase D-A-Y, capital D, lowercase E-R-P. Day Derp is all up in the chat, so you can do that and get an emoticon of me going. There's a there's the day and there's Day Derp. And there's I don't know the other emoticons, I can't remember. There's Day J, but you have that. Oh, and there's the Day Heart, of course, which has been copyrighted by Google, so I don't want to get sued by the internet. Maybe Google won't even take legal measures. Maybe what they'll do is just get really passive aggressive, and whenever I search for something, they'll just take me straight to the second page. I won't even get page 2 on my results. Well, dude, guys, I read on the internet that calcium's bad for you. It was the #1 hit. Because apparently bones are harmful to your body. That's what the internet said. Who thought? Alright, anything else? No daily tomorrow, Thursday. Or Friday. No daily the following Monday and Tuesday. There's going to be 5 days of no dailies. Ah! That's because I am going to be in Toronto. So just back off and tune into WCS Season 3 Grand Finals up in Toronto. You can always check that out at starcraft2.com/WCS or go to my site, day9.tv. I'll have it up in the calendar that should be up, should be up in this corner. If you overlay the image of my website onto this screen right now, my hand will be kind of nearby the calendar. That is not useful in the slightest, but I still want you to know I understand orientation. Let's talk about Terran vs. Zerg. Once upon a time, I was a StarCraft caster. It's a very recent story. Once upon a time, I was a StarCraft caster who was oh so dejected and depressed by what Terran vs. Zerg had become. A matchup rife with delicious opportunities and potentials had devolved down into a single game. The Zerg would go for his 3 Hatchy business, go for ling, bane, ling, muta. The Terran would go for his 3 CCE business and go for marine mine medevac. And they would and then one would win. And the was kind of it. And this is very, very, very common in the evolution of all strategies. Every matchup has kind of had this at one point or another, because it's when someone finds a really strong general playstyle, not like a trick, like, oh, I'm going to do Dark Templar drop, didn't think of that. Or, Protoss is dropping and force fielding a Zerg's ramp. Ooh, surprise! Those are moves. Those aren't styles. Those aren't strategies. They're tactics. When a new strategy comes along, like Biomine, there's a period of time where the recipient of the aggression doesn't quite know what to do and hasn't quite figured it out. So that's what yields these instant deaths for both sides. But this game showcases something all sexy altogether. This does not yield in one big attack winning or one big attack failing. It doesn't even yield any fart noises at all. What we're going to see is a very long evolving game. It's very beautiful. Did anyone not see this game from WCS? Give me a 1 if you've seen it and a 0 if you haven't seen it. A 0. Now, I'm also doing the 0 motion because remember, there is the Safe for Work Day 9 thread, and I want to give you more opportunity. Good. Great portion of you haven't seen it. This is from the Grand Finals of WCS North America Season 3. Polt versus Byul. Map's Derelict Watcher. Now, the first thing I want to do is admire the fact that I have a hotkey for the mini-map. Ooh! Now, we can see that this is Clear Expo 1. This is Clear Expo 2. This third one is never going to be an expansion. I mean, not just because, because of a million and one reasons. First of all, the distance from this ramp, the distance between bases is not as important as the distance between chokes, which is like here to here. Like, look at, let me move that out of the way even. This distance is really small, the distance between these chokes. The distance from here to here between the chokes is very big. And also, this opens up 3 attack paths. There's 1 in the natural, 1 down here, and then another 1 in there. So that's 3 attack paths. Whereas if we take this, we have 1 attack path to manage. It's very obvious that this is the starting 3 for both players. But beyond that, it's weirdly unclear what the 4th should be. This seems like the intuitive choice, but this also, this one up here, can be very, very appealing because it has a nice watchtower that we can hold. If we, for instance, are a Zerg player and we have this as a 4th base, actually let me do it from this point of view. If we're Byul up here and we go 2, 3, 4, we can secure this and simply monitor a much more linear entrance. And then we have map control to guard the big part with our big, fat, fast army. So we're going to be looking at these expanding patterns as the game goes on, because it's going to get way past the 3-base phase. I don't actually want to spend too long talking about their openings, but I have to. I have to. This is a terrible show if I don't. This is what I'm gonna. This is my promise to you, archive viewer. If you're watching on the archive, skip to part 2 if you want to just begin at around 11 or 12 minutes when this stuff be up. If you want to stay with me, good on you. I'm feeling very good today. So no one knows what fun could happen in the next, like, 11 minutes. But you can go ahead, I understand that. If you're watching live, you are screwed. Get ready. For the openings, why not begin it with CM Storm's point of view? Ba-doom-doom-doom. Let's go ahead and look at the map. No doubt we're going to be wanting to do some sort of early expand on this map. Why is that? Because I'm not going to consider any of the other cheesy possibilities. Let's just say we want to early expand. What is a good way to do it? We could go command center first. But on some of these big, wide, spread out, open, spacey kind of maps, it's very hard for a Terran player to get good angles. And by that I mean a nice little choke where we can get our Hellions and nail stuff. So we go a lot of times on the more open, spread out, wide, expansive map. People like going for Reaper. Very easy early scout. Also important to note, it's easy to die to pre-layer stuffs like Roach, Ling, Bane, these sorts of attacks. So Polt goes ahead and gets himself a Reaper right off the bat. Reaper is largely about scouting and controlling the map, and really not a lot of other stuff. Sure, it protects against 6 pools and all that stuff, but let's not get too caught up in stuff. What do you know? A command center goes down. Why would I ever lie to you? Now, the reactor comes up, which can potentially seem like a little bit of an odd move. The reason for that is that a reactor takes 50 seconds. A factory takes 60 seconds. So normally we build the factory and then 10 seconds later build the reactor, and then they both finish at the same time. Why would we want to build this barracks first? This is just a general, nice, defensive move. We just want to have enough for a round. Oh, Marines. So obviously, we're about to throw down our factory as we are getting close to the funds. What does Polt do? You'll see that he literally goes straight into the main, doesn't even check. He's spotted an expansion, not a big deal. He wants to check gas geyser 1, gas geyser 2, which he effectively checks by not seeing anything there. Sees the wiggly hatch, which means that queens are being built. By the way, remember that factory I was telling you about? Here it totally is. But here is the one little bit of unusualness that we're going to see out of Polt. When we typically get a fast reactor, it's because we want to get many Marines. There are a couple of timing pushes from a Zerg that kill us unless we have a lot of Marines. For instance, a Zerg player who gets Zergling speed really fast and just storms our front with a bunch of speed Zerglings. It hits right before the Hellions come out, so we have a bunker with 2 Marines and we die. Urgh. So we've seen players like Bomber opt to go Reactor Factory instead of Factory Reactor. So that way, he can use his Reactor Barracks to get out 4 Marines to hold off that attack. I just gave a bunch of technical crap. Basically, going Reactor first instead of Factory lets you get some extra Marines out to hold off some more stuff. If you're a low-level player and you don't like managing a ton of different subtle, cute timings with scouting, just go Reactor first and then Factory and build 4 Marines instead of 2 and just be safer. It don't really matter until you're way up there. But here's what Polt does that's really conducive to boners. We're going to see him go for a Reaper and a Marine. You'll notice that whole babble that I did about safely getting the early reactor. It all revolved around getting up some defense against Zerglings via Marines. But if we're already going Reaper, we're already kind of doing that. So doesn't it seem a little silly to double do? Like to both get a lot of Marines and to have a Reaper for map control? We should either focus on map control, or we should focus on the, we should either focus on map control, or we should focus on getting more Marines out. So what Polt does is this cute, tiny, teensy little move, where he has the map control elements, but he has a single Marine out now that will allow him to kill off Overlords. Isn't that awesome? Oh my god. So of course now Polt is going to be able to do this trademark move that we looked at many moons ago, which is where he doesn't get the 3rd command center first, he gets a starport. Otherwise, everything's going to be the same. Reapers and Hellions for the control. Notice how at home these Reapers are. Notice how not out and about and ready to die they are. They don't want to get overwhelmed. Just real simple. He darted in, scouted, comes back. Beautiful. What fantastic play. He gets the tech lab down so he can get stim. I love it. He's a little low on the gas, and that is okay. He gets a 2nd refinery in time. What does Mr. Starport do? Well, Mr. Starport's going to do the noble job of killing the shit out of some Overlords. Aren't you, noble Starport? Viking. I will happily credit Polt with this build. He's going to go for the usual format of getting not too many Hellions, just 4 to 6. He has his Reapers to sort of join in the fun. There's Mr. Reapers moving out. He has extra good map control. Oops. Extra good map control because he has both Reapers and Hellions. And then he's just going to kill off a whole bunch of Overlords to pick up little edges. And do note, this Marine, very nice for repelling Overlords. Hey! We got a sweet build. We got a build that is so sweet we could make cider out of it. Polt doing a little double time split. Everything's looking good in the hood. 3rd command center is traditionally the play that we like to see Polt do. But Polt is just taking some notes. He's seen that he doesn't have information about the 3rd. He's doing the precautious early Marauder, the just-in-case Marauder, getting some extra just-in-case Hellions. Remember, we only want 4 to 6 total. Single barracks does tend to be very, very weird. When I was originally watching this, I kind of had this instinct to be like, did he forget one? Was it a misclick? But we're going to see Polt do some really cool magic with it. He begins to build medevacs 1 at a time. He's still getting a pretty significant number of Hellions. 6 is significant. Building some Marines out of everything. And look at this. The single barracks just goes straight into this. Conk. Straight into this reactor, so he can build a bunch of Marines and a medevac. Now, if any of you watched in the Wings of Liberty days, here was a really common build. Open up with Hellions to contain, and then do a really fast push with Marines, Stim, medevacs, and those original Hellions. Really good. Flows together really nicely. Here, it's going to be a similar look. Wow, he's going to be getting a lot of Marines. Medevacs. Stim. Hey, all makes sense. Plugs in very nicely into this fast Viking build, which, by the way, is going to be really busy on his waypoint schedule. Oh my god, look at that. Whoa, reminds me a lot of being in an airport. But the cool thing is that, as a result of Heart of the Swarm, Widow Mines can become a very nice tool for this push. Already, it's really breaking the mold of derp. I'm just going to go 3cc turtle. There's the 3rd command center coming down. So we get to see some, you know, whoopsie daisies moments. Oh no, you've killed off all my Hellions. I am so sad. Polt, notorious for getting very late engineering bays, is getting them at 9 minutes is when they started. 7 is when they typically start. Polt is going to have absolutely no fear. If his Hellion Reaper were still alive, he'd be doing a nice bold push at the front. Because they are dead, he's going to do a, I guess a nice italics push at the front, just not a very brutal one. Mine Bros in the front, yeehaw! Still a nice pickup nonetheless.
Upgrade complete.
And in the meantime, everything else is as it should be. Polt has gotten all the rest of the key structures up. 5 barracks, all with reactors and 1 tech lab, factory with reactor, starport with reactor. He's gotten double upgrades. He's floating to get his 3rd. Boom! Got it! Did everything we need to do. Okay, so cool. We've seen the opening from Polt. We've gotten a chance to see that there's some cute little moves, like getting a Marine and a Reaper with a fast reactor. We've gotten to see this cute Viking play, and also see how it plugs in elegantly to a Marine Stim medevac push. What are you mowing at? What are you mowing at? Maybe the cats like Polt. Maybe the cats are a fan of what we've done so far. What we're going to step into now is we're going to switch to Byul's cam, and we're just going to watch what he does. Everything that Polt has done has led him to the nice, nifty spot that we see him in, going for the 3rd. He's killed off some overlords, 2. He's removed some creep. He can potentially have even won the game. Cool. Let's go to Byul and power on through, because Byul's opening is a lot more to be expected. Oh, God, I can't wait to get to the late game. Oh! I feel like one of those guys who's like super into the TV shows that he likes, and I'm like, hey man, have you watched that show? Oh, dude, you have to see Avatar, The Last Airbender. It's the best TV series ever. And then I become one of those harpies. It's like, dude, have you seen it yet? Have you seen it yet? Did you see it? Did you check it out? Have you seen it? I didn't note what the drone scout was because I was too busy talking about how excited I am for you to have seen this game. But the drone scout, just going to do some nice work detecting, am I up against a command center first, or am I up against a barracks first? There are some extreme things you can do, like throw down another hatch. Ooh, that's so good. Some players will even do light things like add on lots of drones and then go gas pool. We're going to ignore all of that. We're just going to say he's playing it normal. If you're really excellent, like super duper grandmaster, if you're a StarCraft Belgama, then that's fine. You'll know how to respond with that scout, but I know we don't got a lot of masters and grandmasters up in this bad boy, so I'll just say, screw it, man. Fuck it. He's just going to go for a usual scout timing. Go for a pool first and then a gas geyser, because he wants to get queens up fast to prevent reaperage. One thing that's very, very nice is that this early scout permits us to be brave with our overlord. It's very easy to want to, you know, skirt over here and then cut down there. But the early drone scout, why would anyone go barracks first? Byul is simply going to assume for Reaper. The incidence of Marine Command Center is like super low. And again, don't get all caught up in the mind games and be like, oh, I in the Bronze League will therefore be really sophisticated, and I will go barracks first to trick him into sending in the Overlord, and I will build a Marine to kill it off. Doesn't work. Only Code S players are allowed to do that. Beautiful move by Byul, who can then pierce really far in here, really safe. And builds some lings, keeps them back until he has queens, and then he'll attack. Overlord gets nestled in the corner. Other Overlord nestled in a very useful spot. Zergling's going to try to scout, sees what is to be expected. How many queens is Byul going to get? Just 3. Just a third one up there. He spent what would have gone to a 4th by putting in Metabolic Boost. Pulls all out but 1 to get a little trickle in, with the full intention, generally speaking, of getting up the 6-minute hatch. That is the norm in this matchup. That is what we generally like to do. But Byul has some other interesting preparations in store. Byul is going to get another queen. This is a map where it's really good to spread creep. And you might say to yourself, why did Byul not go for a 4-queen opening? And the answer is very simple. He went for an extreme early Zergling speed. Most of the time when people go for 4-queen builds, they are delaying this Zergling speed. So, okay, cool. Well, with that early Zergling speed, what's Byul going to do? Byul is going to flood a big round of lings to kill off this base. 6 is a very traditional time nowadays to get that up. He's going to go for a 7. He's delaying it because he's getting a 4th queen. He really wants to creep spread, like really badly. Trying to scout in here and see what's up. He knows that what all the possibilities are. 7 minutes is the time that most players will try to pierce in there. And other than that, everything else is as normal. When we take our expansion, we build a 2nd gas geyser. We go for double evolution chamber. Weirdly though, 5th queen coming up. Not an extreme change, just a teensy little one. Creep spread is really important on this map because there's just so much goop-upable area. An increasingly common thing, pre-layer, get the Overlord speed to do more spotting, because this map has no good hiding places for Overlords. I mean, how are you going to see a push moving through here, especially given that you've seen Vikings? Byul just builds extra lings. He gets his 1/1-ups. When he can afford it gas-wise, remember, he only has 2 geysers, and we know the time that he got those 2 geysers as well. When he can afford it, he goes for an extra. He goes for the layer. When he can afford it, he gets the baneling nest. When his layer is half done, he gets the rest of his geysers up. Very standard, very typical, very traditional. Still keeping a very high queen count. Going to be going up to 6 so he can have 4 spreading creep. Also helps us deal with these drops much easier. When he can afford it, he gets the 4th hatch. And this is where we'll halt part 1. We see the good setup from Byul. He has 3 bases with all the geysers going, some defense. Somewhat unusual to have 6 queens, but queens are going to be great for this kind of defense against fast starport-based attacks, and also because we have a good creep spread. But always remember the mid-game convergence point for Zerg. 4 hatches. Oops. 4 hatches. 6 gases. Yeah. Baneling speed. 1/1 upgrades. And last but not least, the Overlord speed upgrade. Cool. Ta-da! We've got to the mid-game. When we come back, we're going to see how this game turns spicy. Go!